Good day, everyone. I am Eunice Flameson, one of the reporters for today's discussion. As you can see on the screen, our topic is about the sedimentation of suspensions. So, which law explains sedimentation? But first, let us define sedimentation. Sedimentation is the setting down of the heavier particles present in a liquid mixture. It allows the small particles in a suspension and particles in water to settle out of the suspension under gravity. The particles that settle out from the suspension become sediment, and in water treatment, it is known as sludge. When a thick layer of sediment continues to settle, this is known as consolidation. When consolidation of sediment or sludge is assisted by mechanical means, this is known as thickening. Now, the law that explains sedimentation is the Stokes' law. It is the formula for determining the rate of sedimentation. It states that a particle moving through viscous liquid attains a constant velocity or sedimentation rate. The rate can be very slow for particles whose density is close to that of the liquid, or for particles whose diameter is small or where the viscosity is high, replacing gravitational acceleration with the acceleration generated by the rotating centrifuge results in faster sedimentation. According to this law, the particle sedimentation velocity is proportional to the density difference between the solid phase and the liquid phase, inversely proportional to the viscosity of the liquid, and proportional to the square of particle diameter.
Another type of sedimentation tank is called a settling tank. A settling tank or a sedimentation tank is used to collect sediments. A settling tank is shaped accordingly to collect and concentrate sediments in a single place for it to be sucked away easily. A ballasted sedimentation is used when the water needs additional flocculation. The wastewater is added, a coagulant is added to the wastewater and then passed through a multi-stage process to help with coagulation, and then it will end up in a regular settling tank for the coagulation to occur and the sediments to be collected down underneath. The block blanket sedimentation uses what they call a flock or a flock blanket to attract particles. These tanks look like inverted pyramids and has a short vertical section. Those flocks are circulated in the tank and that circulation helps attract particles. The Cyroflock uses magnetite or very fine magnetite powders that is mixed with high acidity solution to act as a coagulant that will attract negatively charged colloidal particles in the raw water. It is like using a coagulant, but instead it uses magnetite as a coagulant, and it can be recycled.
For question number 2, explain how sedimentation works. Sedimentation is accomplished by decreasing the velocity of the water to a point which the particles will no longer remain in suspension. When the velocity no longer supports the particles, gravity will remove them from the water flow. It takes place when particles in suspension settle out of the fluid in which they are entrained and come to rest against a barrier. This is due to their motion through the fluid in response to the forces acting on them. The effectiveness depends on the size and weight of the particles. Suspended solids that have a specific gravity similar to water remain suspended while heavier particles settle. The sedimentation process usually occurs in tanks of various shapes. We have types of sedimentation tanks. First is horizontal flow tank. Horizontal flow tanks are the simplest option. These rectangular tanks allow water to flow horizontally, ensuring that particles are separated from the tank during the movement through the tank. So, horizontal flow tank, this is a way to the sediment has been collected before the water leaves the far end of the tank. The tank is equipped to clean the sediment out of periodically in order to allow the process to continue. Second is multi-layer tank. A variation of the horizontal flow tank is the multi-layer tank. The process is still the same in a multi-layer tank. However, multiple decks have been built in the tank. So, multi-layer tank is multiple decks have been built in the tank. Water is passed from a layer to the next until the sediment is properly separated. Third is radial flow tank. Radial flow tanks approach this process differently. These tanks are circular and sediment is moved centrally to be collected and discharged. Radial tanks can be enhanced for flocculation and recirculation in some cases.